What's the budget of DA for F2C2?
Mr. Chair. Yeah, Mr. Chair, the budget for F2C2 is actually mainstreamed into the different programs, Mr. Chair.
So, ibig sabihin chika. Ay, ibig sabihin sir, chika.
Because F2C2 is more of a strategy for
But you
implementing the
cobble
different
it up
programs.
from all sorts of other things, and you know, DA being DA, everybody thinks it's their turf. So how can they give up something that's already in their program? I beg to disagree, sir. Unless you fund it separately, it will not work. And what about AIBC? The agro-industrial. Those are your key flagship programs. So there's no budget for agro-industrial business. Sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, for this year,
You keep announcing big programs and you don't fund it. That's my accusation.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'm
listening, sir.
Mr. Chair, Coco.
Yes.
Alam ko umiinit ulo mo, but I join the sentiments of the chairman and I reject the calls for Congress to add budget to any of the agencies because the amount of agriculture smuggled is, as I mentioned, estimated independently at least 40 billion pesos a year. That's more than enough budget to buy all the things to catch and pay for all the people to catch them. So please, for those future speakers here, wag niyong sabihin kulang ang budget ng Congress. Di namin kasalanan yan.
Anyway, can I go back, sir, to something that's pretty well known now in my district? There is a report that 300 billion of cooking oil was smuggled under a feedstock for pork. $300 billion were smuggled and booked under a feedstock. And I hold BOC and the DA responsible for this 300 billion, sir. So may I ask first, Ena, what is the outbound, in quota and out quota tariff rates for cooking oil? Ena?
Yes, sir.
Anybody here
For
knows?
cooking oil, for soya bean, it's 7%. For olive oil, it's 3%. For ground nut, it's 3%. Palm oil is 15%, and sunflower is 3 to 7.
So that's 15. There's no MAV there, no? Ibig sabihin, ang laki-laki. Doon pa lang, 45 billion na nawala sa atin. Sir, 300 billion. I can feel it in my district. Bumaba hapon ng cooking oil from Malaysia. And it's being booked under as a feedstock for poultry, for piggery. Ewan ko kung sino nagbigay sa inyong SPSIC para doon. At sino sa custom ang pumayag na makalusot yon. At yung 7 entrada, kasama ang Subic, kasama MICP, kasama ang Davao, kasama po lahat ng mga nandito, lahat sila pinalusutan ng cooking oil from Malaysia. Yung ba ang sinasabi nating modernization, sir? Kung ma-charge nyo lang ng 45 billion, di yung lahat ng F2CT nyo, tsaka AIBCS nyo na flagship project, di sana napandi ka na yan. I demand, sir, an investigation from Customs and DA. Are you in connivance in allowing cooking oil worth 300 billion to be booked as a feedstock for ibig niyo sabihin, hindi niyo alam? Alam ko doon sa distrito ko that the single biggest anomaly I've seen in my 3 years as chairman of this Committee on Ways and Means. That is to the detriment of our copra farmers, of our coconut farmers. And I don't know whether the SPSIC, it is ba yun ay lusutan po ng mga bagong sicknesses? Eh sino naman hindi mag-uinit ang ulo sa inyo? Eh hindi na nga lang langis, petrolyo ang ini-smuggle, ngayon pati cooking oil.
Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
With due respect, sir, this is the first time I want you to be very careful with your words.
yes, sir. There is already an ongoing investigation, sir, regarding this matter together. We are investigating this together with the ARTA, sir. And I've already also directed yung post-clearance audit natin, sir, to conduct an audit of the companies involved, particularly to check on the SPSIC issue, sir.
Jet, magkano ang SPSIC ang inalaw ng DA for cooking oil from Malaysia?
Almost. Your Honor, I'll have to get back to you in the figures, but almost all were declared as were issued SPSIC as feed grade. There's also a corresponding certification from the Bureau of Animal Industry and the Food and Drug Administration on the matter.
I'm sure etong SPSIC na to, hindi BPI ang nag-release, kundi ang BAI.
Yes, Your Honor. It was
BAI
BAI, Your
daw.
Honor.
Yeah, BAI ang nag-release ng SPSIC. Alam mo, natumanda na ako since 1998 sa WTO. At alam ko kung gaano ka pinoprotekta ng Pilipinas ang domestic farmers. Kaya nakakabwisit sa panahon ng ganito, sa dinami-dami ng smuggle, pati ito. Pati ito. Kasi walang mga nakatingin, busy sa eleksyon. O eto na yung pagpanding mo, Dr. Sebastian, Dr. Fermin. Sino ba talaga may hawak ng DA? Am I safe to say that given the fact that custom is only trying to capture all these anomalies actually are 80% policy anomalies of DA? How the hell did we allow importation of cooking oil under BAI worth 300 billion as feedstock for animal production, then suddenly, meron ba kayo nakolekta dyan? Jet? And pumunta ka dun sa amin sa Bicol. Puro Malaysian palm oil.
Your Honor, if it's declared as feed grade, the rate of duty and VAT is zero, Your Honor.
Kung feed grade nagiging zero, eh kung pinangluluto ko ng tilapia, ano yan?
That's supposed to be 7%, Your Honor.
Do you really mean to say that we consume 300 billion of your pigs consume 300 billion of cooking oil from Malaysia? From what transpired today, I would say that 80-20, 80% is DA and 20% custom. So at least, can you at least clean the 20% of custom in your participation in this agri-smuggling, especially those that were shown by my former colleague, FFF, Montemayor, that there is technical undervaluation in terms of the broken?
Yes, Your Honor. We agree that 20% of the problem probably involves customs, and we attribute this to additional improvements that we need to undertake in terms of our systems and processes.
Oo nga, pero itong DA, paano to? Mr. Sebastian, you're disappeared already. You have to take a more strategic viewpoint with respect to food security and agri production and productivity. I don't know just how you will solve this, especially since you cannot move you cannot tilt your budget away from corn and rice, and so we are ending up with huge amounts of illegal smuggling. Anyway, you can work with me. Ikaw na ba ngayon ang pupunta WTO, Sebastian?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm not part of that negotiating team. It's Yusek.
Alam mo ano to, kasi I want to end this up with
Mr. Chair, yeah, regarding your statement, I think we will need your help also in Congress, Mr. Chair, to strengthen our capacity to go after.
You really need to re-engineer the new role of the Department of Agriculture in a highly liberalized food system in the world. So, ang isang na tinitingnan ko, sir, parang Al Capone law, yung illegal income is still taxable. So, the illegally smuggled goods should be counted in the computation of dumping, special safeguards. Kasi yung mga SSG, ito yung tatlong batas na naipasa ko nung freshman pa lang ako, yung countervailing duty, SSG, anti-dumping, itong 3 companion measures. Pero ito, based kasi sa legal trade. I think we need to include illegal trade into the computation to prove, for example, that this is a surge. And therefore, automatically, the safeguard measure can easily come in. So, I think we need to look at that. I mean, sir, we need to tweak these 3 measures that are meant to protect farmers from the entry of, especially, not through legal trade, but through
Illegal.
smuggling. Oo. So, dapat tulad po sa Al Capone law ng US, an income, whether illegal or legal, is subject to tax. So the same, I think, rule should apply to the computation of the base as well as the amount that you compute in order to determine whether an SSG or a countervailing or an anti-dumping can be included. Anyway, there is hands raised here. It's already 11:10. Elias Jose M. Inchong. Sir, you're recognized.
Inchong, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I have been informed that I was called earlier. I had problems with my signal. Regarding, sir, your last remark on trade remedies. May problema rin ho sa implementation yan kasi wala ho talagang data, walang build up ho ng data since we got into WTO. And very passive ho kasi ang DA sa trade remedies. Actually ho, yung trade remedies nyo noong late 90s, nasimulan lang ho ma-implement yan during the time of GMA. Saka lang kinompute ho yung SSG, yung special, yung triggers ho, special safeguards. At ang pumasok lang ho doon, ang naging effective ay onion and chicken.
Cement.
Then, kanya ho, kung wala ho talagang data, mahihirapan ho tayo sa trade remedies. We cannot follow the design of the WTO. Ang design ho kasi ng WTO, you are very familiar with this kasi kasama nyo lagi si Fred noon. Market access, domestic support, trade remedies, and SPS. Ang problema, ang emphasis ng gobyerno, especially under Secretary Dar, puro market access and import liberalization. Yun hong domestic support ay kung meron man ho under RTL, nasasayang kasi ho, pagdating ho ng anihan, wala naman, kasi nga ho, iba ho yung intervention ho dito sa atin, unlike in other countries. in the US, in China, they intervene during
The harvest.
supply, during harvest. Tutulungan ho yung mga farmers para ho hindi aatras. Dito ho, habang hong nag-aanihan, nakaanga ho yung DA, hahayaan umatras yung mga nagpo-produce. Pag tumaas ho yung preso, nagkakandara pa ho magkaroon ng pag-reduce ng tariff. Kanya ho, parang tinatapo natin ho yung pera na pinaghirapan ng Congress doon sa RTL. Kasi nga ho, hindi tinutulungan at harvest time. In other countries ho kasi sinisequester ho yan eh. In effect, ini-store, ini-stock. Hindi ho dinidevelop ho yung... Noong 2020 ho kasi sinabihan ko nung nagkaroon ho ng glut ng chicken because of the lockdown, we were requesting Secretary Darho to ask Land Bank na i-finance ho yung kahit warehouse receipt system para for chicken, para ho yung maliliit makaikot. Wala ho eh, hindi ho nakinig. In-endorse pa ho ni Senator Bilyon yung letter namin. Iba ho talaga ang kaisipan, and right now ho, we are thankful for your hearing, and hopefully this will prevent the extension of the term of Secretary Dar, because right now he is applying all over the place that he be reappointed by the next president. Nakakaya ho itong isang ito talaga. I'm sorry for these remarks, Mr. Chair, but to continue the damage inflicted on the sector by having himself by applying openly to all presidential candidates, especially BBM, to become again the Secretary of Agriculture is too much. Sobra-sobra na ho. Wala man lang hong... Ganito na ho ba ang officials natin? Garapala na. Paano ho tutulungan ng farmers? He's so busy applying. Tuloy ho, ang iniisip ho ng sector ngayon, kanya siya nagkakandara pang ma-reappoint. He has yet to explain his the COA findings that he has 10 billion disallowance and 23 billion unliquidated. Kanya ang hirap po talaga we welcome right now yung hearings na ganito kasi if this fellow is reappointed by whoever wins in the elections of May 9, disgrasya ho tayo. Disgrasya. Kasi yung data na sinasabi ko, first week ho niya, sinabi na ho niya ng sector sa kanya eh. Kasama ho namin sila Rosendo. So, the following month, September, nagkaroon ho ng, he spoke before the Philippine Chamber on Agri-Fisheries, Inc. Wala rin ho nangyari do sa letter na yon. Panay ho ang ano namin ng data kasi that is the only way to address yung over-importation and smuggling. That is the only way you can identify your prey, especially with regards to smuggling. Kanya ho, hindi ho namin makita na in good faith ho yung efforts ng DA kasi wala naman hong efforts at building up data or even having a plan for that matter. Lately na lang ho sila nagkakandara pang magkaroon ng agri-fisheries modernization and industrialization plan kasi nabibira na sila. Puro afterthought. Andi dito naman ho sila. Antayan ko ho sagot.
Are you okay now, sir?
Yes, sir. Antayan ko ho sagot. Baka merong gustong na makipagbalik-taktakan ng tiga-DA. I will wait.
I don't know. Leo, would you like to respond to that?
I will not. I cannot respond on those personal attacks, Mr. Chair, to the Secretary.
Those are not personal. I'm sorry.
So I will leave it to the Secretary to answer that later when he is present. But regarding the other issues on the department, I think, Mr. Chair, many of those issues are already have been there for some time, and they're probably older than me. And Mr. Insyong also has been a part of a DA stakeholder for a long time, and he's been airing those things. So it's not if you say that it is only now, I think that's what we are trying to do now, Mr. Chair, trying to catch up for those decade-long neglect that we have been inflicting on our agriculture. And I recognize that, Mr. Chair, because having, as I have said, I just rejoined the DA last year, and I can see that from outside, Mr. Chair, how we have neglected our agriculture, and mostly because we have also been very protectionist. I stayed in Vietnam for 6 years, 5 years in Malaysia, and I have seen how they have made their agriculture competitive, and I even helped them, Mr. Chair. I was involved in rice, particularly, Mr. Chair. I was involved in planning the transformation of the rice industry in recent years in Vietnam. And they opened up, their key is that they opened up so that they can make their agriculture competitive. And I recognize also that what Mr. Insyong said, that in many of those countries, they intervene during harvest time when supply is high. I think that is true, Mr. Chair. Many of these countries, during not necessarily buying the products, but by helping their farmers market their products. And a lot of the investment, for example, in Vietnam, where I worked for 6 years, and particularly very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture there, the investment of Vietnam was more on the infrastructure, so processing plants, highways, farm-to-market roads, milling facilities, those areas, Mr. Chair. And they have long-term plans. Unfortunately, in the Philippines, Mr. Chair, we have not been having long-term plans in agriculture. We want to change our plans every administration, and there was even a time when we changed secretaries of agriculture every year. So we need long-term plans, Mr. Chair, for agriculture to develop. And if we have this SNAP meet now, the plan that we have prepared, and in the previous years we've been trying to develop also different roadmaps. I think those are the actions that we would like to set for the long term. We cannot do it. The secretary has only been here for how many years? Many of our colleagues have been in agriculture for decades. So we cannot solve our agriculture problem in 3 years. What we have failed to do in 30 years, Mr. Chair. So it's not also fair to blame the secretary for all these problems that we now have. Now, if some of the stakeholders are not able to participate actively at this time, I think we have to diversify also the stakeholders in the Department of Agriculture, Mr. Chair. I know Mr. Insyong has been, I've already heard his name when I was still with Phil Rice in the year 2000, during those years. So maybe I don't know what happened between them and the secretary, and I cannot answer those issues, Mr. Chair. But as far as who will be the next secretary, that is being a cabinet member is a position of trust, Mr. Chair. So you cannot apply. You have to be trusted by the next president to be appointed.
Thank you, sir. So
Mr.
where
Chair,
is
may I respond only on 2 points with respect, sir?
Okay.
On the point of Undersecretary Sebastian that we are protectionists. Sir, the late Justice Florentino Feliciano, who was our ambassador to the WTO, described the way we got into WTO as unilateral disarmament, and we are famous in the WTO. You can ask former Undersecretary Serrano. We are famous for we are the foremost example on how not to negotiate a trade agreement, because doctrinal ho ang approach, puros liberalization. Yung ibang bansa ho, ang gugulang, nanungunguna na ho yung US. At on the point naman ho na I have been a stakeholder for quite a while. Totoo ho yun. Hindi naman ho maitatanggi yun. Ang pinagkaiba lang ho nung ni Secretary Dardo sa mga dating sekretary. Yung mga dating sekretary, pinaliliwanag ho sa amin, ito ang gusto ng mga economic managers. Ito ang ginagawa namin. They're all about the economic managers. Understandably so, dahil yun ang training nila is all about liberalization. They cannot even finance the first border inspection facility. They do not want to. Sayang daw ang pera. Naiintindihan ho namin yun. Pero si Secretary Darho, as I have used the term ho in the Senate, inararo ho lahat yung commodities. Kanya, we have a different view from Undersecretary Sebastian, and I understand his duty to defend his secretary. That is all, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity.